And good morning. It's now 7:04 on this Tuesday, September 21st. It's time to head to the hallway for Coleman and Company. Our guest host today, Judge Barry Tatum.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Coleman and Company. Coleman's on special assignment. Don't be disappointed. Don't turn the radio off. Don't turn the dial off, because we've got a really informative program this morning. This is a new environment. We're looking down the hallway looking into the Studio B room. Got Gary and Billy and Susie and MJ and I don't know who all else have done a fantastic job of improvising and getting us on the air. But the program this morning is entirely dedicated to Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. And this morning, familiar voice, familiar face. Well, you can't tell that on the radio, I guess, but certainly a familiar voice is the Director of Community Relations at Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, Tracy Pope. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
You must be living right.
Why is that?
Because you've been the guest. This is my second stint as guest host in a month, and you've been fortunate enough to be with me.
I know. I've been blessed with your presence two times in a row. I'm usually here twice a month with Coleman. Very fortunate to bring information and additional service lines that Vanderbilt is bringing to Wilson County. So we always have a good time and a great speaker.
And I heard you say before we went on the air that the COVID numbers that you have in the hospital have dropped slightly, and y'all have started to do elective surgeries?
So yes, we had a high volume of patients and very acute, very sick patients, and then we also had some, other factors that caused us to pause our elective surgeries on September the 1st. We did continue to have emergent and urgent surgical cases, but we just started back elective cases on yesterday, Monday, September the 20th. So for 19 days, we had to pause our elective surgeries because our COVID numbers were so high, and the volume and acuity of patients in the hospital. We just wanted to take the best care of the patients and our staff. Our staff has struggled with direct or indirect problems associated with COVID, whether their children were out of school or they had a family member themselves. So we're just so fortunate to be part of the Vanderbilt health system. We've been part of Vanderbilt 2 years now here in Wilson County, and they looked at all the factors and decided to pause the elective surgeries. But we did start that back yesterday. So we are doing a little bit better at the hospital, and we do hope to see a peak and it to start coming down from COVID. But once again, we are emphasizing at the hospital vaccinations. We, as healthcare providers and people in the healthcare world, we are all here to prevent disease, and we know the vaccine does this. So we are here to advocate for the COVID vaccine, and any questions or just any hesitancies anyone has in the community, we want to help answer those questions and help guide everyone to get vaccinated.
Well, that's, when we were here 2 weeks ago, our whole program was about infectious disease. So yes. I'm glad we can talk about something else. And you mentioned elective surgeries, which
yes.
kind of is a good segue for our featured guest this morning from Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. We have Dr. Christy Guth. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Glad to be here.
Well, is this your first time to be with on the Coleman Show?
Absolutely, yes.
There's a tradition that goes along with the Coleman Show. He has a registry book there that I will need you and Tracy to sign when we're done. But
right.
We had a chance to visit a little bit before we went on air. And, of course, like what we like to start with is you're not a native of Lebanon, not a native Tennessean, but you've been here a while. And if you could kind of start from childhood, when your interest in medicine began, and your background in education, family.
Sure. So I'm originally from the South, from Greenville, South Carolina, and born and raised. Then I came to Nashville for my undergraduate training and loved it, met my future husband. Then took off for a little bit for medical school up in Boston, determined, although it was a lot of fun to live up there for 4 years, it was a little too cold for me, so came back down. And I did my general surgery training here at Vanderbilt, and I knew I wanted to do surgery once I started medical school. And I really thought about medical school. I have a long line of nurses and a few doctors in my family, and decided that that's what I wanted to do.
Do you recall how old you were when you first thought, I want to go to medical school?
Well, honestly, it was probably in high school.
Okay.
It was a couple of family members had gotten sick, and I got involved in their care, and just found a passion for it. So it was pretty early on. And then vascular surgery, I kind of knew I wanted to do that from the beginning as well. I just found it fascinating, and the patients a lot of fun. So I did my training specifically for vascular surgery at Vanderbilt as well. And I've now been in Tennessee 14 years. Plan to make it 14 more.
And you've been a practicing vascular surgeon for how many of those years?
So I've been doing vascular surgery for the past 2 years.
Okay. And I know it's a long, drawn-out process as far as going to medical school. I mean, you have a bachelor's degree or higher, and then apply and get into the medical school program. Medical school is 4 years,
Yes,
typically.
sir.
And the first 2 years, a lot of class work, but the last 2 years, a lot of clinical work.
Correct.
And then once you get out of that, you don't go hang up a shingle somewhere. Most people go to what I would call advanced individual training, or
Yes.
that you would have in the services, but you do residencies, I guess.
Yes, and for surgery, it's a bit of a long haul. Obviously, we want to know everything we need to know before we cut on anyone. And so
Thank goodness.
exactly. So general surgery residency is 5 years. Within that, I also took an additional 2 years to do some research in vascular surgery, because I knew I was interested in that. And then 2 years of fellowship on top of that. So yes, it's been a long haul, but worth it.
But during that time, you've earned the degrees and the credentials and so forth, but you've also found time to get married and start a family.
Yes, sir. Got a 5-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl, and
Prettiest kids you've ever seen,
they're
right?
the pretty. They really are. I hope every parent feels that way about their kid, but absolutely.
Well, and I'm sure their grandparents think they're the most special things in the world too.
Obviously,
So, and then,
yes.
But when I hear about surgery, we hear brain surgery, orthopedic surgery, heart surgery. When you say vascular surgery, for the untrained like myself, the lay people, what exactly is vascular surgery?
Great question.
Oh, I try to ask good ones.
It's a lot. It's a lot of things. So basically, we treat any disease of the blood vessels, the arteries, the veins, outside those in the brain. As you mentioned, neurosurgery does that, and outside of the heart, that's cardiac surgery. But really, any other blood vessel in the human body, we are trained to treat medically, surgically, endovascularly, which is our less invasive treatment options. And as I tell people, my job is to open your closed vessels and to close your open vessels.
Now, do you, other than vessels, arteries, and veins, and things that deliver blood throughout the body, do you work on other soft tissue areas?
We do some lymphedema work, so with swollen lower extremities, sometimes we'll refer folks to get some lymphedema therapy, and we'll monitor that, because oftentimes that goes hand in hand with other vascular diseases.
Well, it's we've heard the term vascular disease that we have, and I imagine that's an awfully broad spectrum of things. But if you could tell us what is vascular disease and how does it affect people, what we can do to avoid it, those types of things.
Absolutely. I'll try to summarize best I can. So usually when people think of vascular disease, they think of arteries being blocked. And oftentimes that's due to atherosclerosis or plaque in the arteries. What causes that? High cholesterol, smoking, genetics, diabetes. So all of those things are things that, in addition to offering surgery, I try to help patients to manage as best as we can. So we treat the atherosclerosis or the plaque, because it can cause poor blood flow wherever it goes. So in the legs, folks can get leg pain, foot pain, wounds that won't heal. For the arteries going to the brain, it can cause stroke. And obviously the arteries in the chest, the abdomen, you can have issues with your kidneys, your intestines, if you don't have enough blood flow, obviously. The flip side of that with arteries is they're too big, what we call aneurysms, or they start to have an outpouching. And the concern there is that the wall gets thinner and thinner and it can eventually rupture, which obviously is something you want to avoid and is often lethal. So our job is also to monitor folks if they've been screened and they've been found to have an aneurysm, to make sure that if it gets to a considerable size and we're concerned about it, that we go in and replace that artery.
Well, in my exposure to surgery of the type that you do is basically what I've seen on television type thing. When somebody comes into a trauma unit suffering a traumatic injury of some type, obviously you go in and try to minimize any further damage at that point, stabilize the patient. But if you're looking at someone who has swelling of the legs or edema or suspicions of plaque buildup in their peripheral arteries, I guess you would say, you use diagnostic tools. I mean, you're not cutting somebody open and looking for problems. So what type of diagnostic tools do you use?
Well, we always start with the physical exam, which in vascular surgery, probably more so than a lot of other surgeries, is really important. So we feel for the pulses, we listen with our stethoscope all over, and when you have a stenosis or a narrowing of the arteries, it can actually create a sound that we call a bruit. And so we can hear that throughout the body.
Call it a bruit.
A bruit, yes.
Okay.
So that can alert us to an issue. Then we usually we try non-invasive forms of evaluation next, and that can be as simple as a blood pressure cuff on your arms, on your legs, or using a little Doppler. If anybody's seen like a pregnant woman getting an ultrasound, it's the same kind of idea, and we just listen to the blood vessels. And then if we need to, we can get a little bit more advanced and do some invasive procedures where we put, it's kind of like an IV, but into the artery and shoot some dye, take some pictures, and that gives us a really good idea of what's going on.
And you can identify problems. You've said this, and I've seen it happen. You're listening to make sure that the sounds on one side of the body are the same as the sounds on the other side of the body, the symmetry, I guess you would say.
Exactly.
And if you detect that one is not quite as strong or one has a sound that the other, that is indicative that there might be a problem worth investigating.
Exactly.
Okay. One of the other topics that you cover is varicose veins. I don't know, what is a varicose vein?
Varicose vein.
I've always heard of them. I don't know that I've ever seen one.
Well, a varicose vein is basically what we call an insufficient vein, which is meaning that the valve that should help the blood get back to your heart, they're just not working. They're too loose and they're letting the blood go back down.
This is in the heart itself?
No, I'm sorry. This is in the legs most often.
So there are valves in the veins in your
the legs.
Okay.
Exactly. So these little valves do a lot of work in order to get the blood back up to the heart, try and push it back up. And when those don't work, you have pooling of that blood in your legs that can cause swelling if it's your deep veins, or it can cause varicose veins, which is a bulging of the veins right under your skin. I'm sure you've seen ads around town for the vein guys or varicose veins, etc. So it can be for cosmesis. We generally focus more on when it becomes symptomatic and it causes pain, discomfort, and swelling.
Is there a danger with an untreated varicose vein? Could it cause an infection or necrotic tissue?
Usually not, no, but it can cause bleeding if it gets bad enough, especially around the ankles. We can see that.
Well, this is a surprise to us. Not only are we doing things in the hall, but MJ just brought me a report. Says we're going to have a traffic report at 7:15, and it's a little bit after that, so go to it, MJ.
Well, thanks, Judge. And yes, let's go ahead and see what's happening on the roadways.
Good morning. Cleanup continues as everybody stares at this crash here on 24 westbound and OHB here in the Hickory Hollow area. It was still slow a few minutes ago on 24 east trying to get past Whites Creek Pike there in the Jolton area from that earlier crash. Heavy traffic now right on schedule here in Mount Juliet, especially on the Linda Parkway trying to get towards the interstate. Oktoberfest at Ober-Gatlinburg is September 24th through October 31st. Food, fun, lots of music. Check it out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Talking with Dr. Christy Guth, who's a vascular surgeon here in Lebanon, affiliated with Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. And we talked about vascular disease. We talked about varicose veins. Is there anything you want to touch up on before we move on to some other vascular type issues?
One thing I just wanted to say with peripheral vascular disease that I try to tell all of my patients is that it's really indicative of your overall vascular health. So if you have vascular disease in your legs, I can guarantee you have vascular disease in your heart. And so when I say that we try to medically manage folks, that is to prevent both their legs from getting worse, but also them from having a heart attack. So if your doctor says you've got peripheral vascular disease, just know it's not just in your legs, even if that's the only place you feel it.
Well, that's now you're kind of scaring me a little bit. So that's an indication of just your overall health, but that kind of goes with your lifestyle, what you eat, and whether you exercise or not, and get plenty of rest.
Absolutely.
And those. But if you feel there's a symptom of peripheral vascular disease, being tired or having heavy feet,
it can be.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, we'll probably need to move on to, is that in peripheral vascular disease, is that the same as peripheral arterial disease, or is it a different animal?
No, they're kind of synonymous. Yes, kind of the same thing.
But the issues that we have are those backflow valves and the pooling of blood and the narrowing of the arteries and veins.
Exactly. It can be you're not getting enough blood, or too much blood is sitting around.
Yeah, so we need to keep it moving.
Yes.
We need to get up and exercise.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Chronic venous insufficiency. These words are getting a little harder, but what is chronic venous insufficiency?
So chronic venous insufficiency is basically a varicose vein, but deeper in your leg, meaning the valves aren't working, but most of your blood goes through the deeper veins. And so when you have chronic venous insufficiency, that's when you get folks with really swollen legs. And you may not see those bulging, snake veins, varicose veins that you think about, but you just have really bad swelling and edema. And that's because the deeper veins are not working correctly.
Is that typically a painful condition for the person suffering for it, or do they suffer without feeling it?
They can suffer for a while without feeling it. Eventually it will get more painful, and folks can actually develop sores over time if it gets severe enough. And really leg swelling, because I'm sure a lot of folks out there are thinking, oh man, I have leg swelling. And you absolutely should get it checked out. It can have many different causes, one of which obviously is vascular disease. But that's why we ask you a lot of questions when you come into the clinic to try and figure out what exactly is causing it.
So if you have swelling feet or swelling ankles, not only could that be a vascular problem, it could be a heart problem, whether your heart's
Exactly.
working effectively, or perhaps a kidney or liver issue as well. Carotid artery disease. Now I'm on this one because every time I go to the doctor, he puts a stethoscope to each side of my neck and just listens.
Listening for those bruises.
And my dad had one artery cleaned years ago. So tell us about that, because that seems to be at least in my dad's case, what we saw, it prevented a major stroke.
Exactly. So again, we're talking about atherosclerosis or plaque in the arteries. And in this case, it's all about stroke prevention. Once the artery gets so narrow, you're just not getting enough blood flow up to the brain. And if any little piece of clot or plaque flex off from somewhere else where it may not have been a big deal before, it can become a big deal. And so we oftentimes will screen folks, or primary care providers will screen folks for carotid disease. And the way that we really figure out how bad it is, the bruit can help. That's a start, but we have to get an ultrasound of the whole vessel.
Right.
And based on how much disease is in there, we can decide whether to operate. It's obviously a risky operation,
Right.
in terms of basically rearranging temporarily the blood flow to your brain. So we want to make sure that it's worth it, and that the data supports that it's going to help you.
And the danger that you really have, I would assume, when you have a small clot break off or a small piece of plaque break off, it'll travel down through the venous system until it comes to a point where it can't go any further. And when it cuts that blood flow off, the tissue that's supported by that effectively loses its fresh blood and can die.
Exactly. So clots in the arteries or the veins, wherever they are meant to go next, that's where they will live. And so in this case, in the carotid artery, it will go up to the brain and cause, as you mentioned, a massive stroke, potentially.
Well, look, just from a personal perspective, we were playing cards with them a lot, my parents. And I just noticed he was getting older, that he was a little slower, not quite as sharp playing cards. And then he managed to get this caught. He had a mild stroke, and it was detected. But I remember the arteriogram showed this enormous healthy flow of blood in one of his carotid arteries, and then it got down to where it was
wreaks havoc on your blood vessels, and diabetes as well. The blood vessels really don't like sugar, so when your blood sugar gets high, they kind of mount their defenses.
Now,
And that can be a problem. So taking care of all of that, obviously exercise is important, and to some degree genetics, but you can overcome that most of the time.
as far as the relationship between blood sugar and the health of your vascular system, you said they tend to work against each other. I've never heard that before. Can you go into more detail about that without losing me too quick?
Sure. Well, I basically think about it as sugar is very irritating to the lining of the blood vessels. And whenever something's irritating in your body, you think you rub your toe a funny way, you're going to get a callus. Well, your body's going to build up some kind of defense mechanism. And so in diabetics, if they don't take care of their diabetes, oftentimes the small vessels will become stiff and rigid and eventually close off. And so that's when you see a lot of issues, obviously, with the eyes, with the kidneys, with the feet. And it's a challenge once it gets to that point. So not having diabetes, sometimes we can't help but trying to manage it,
Right.
especially keeping a lot of folks will check their A1C, trying to keep that in a good range is really important for your vascular health.
So you need to keep tabs on your blood pressure, need to keep tabs on your cholesterol and your blood sugar, as well as don't smoke and get plenty of exercise. Diet? What about diet?
Diet's important too. Well, that'll affect your cholesterol,
Yeah.
obviously, and you want to stay, away from super fatty foods, a lot of processed foods. Obviously, having a lot of salt intake can wreak havoc on your heart and your body too. So yes, eating healthy is important. Growing older isn't easy.
Well, it sounds like I've got a lot of celery to eat in my future. But the last topic that we had down here, Tracy was kind enough to prepare, is something called, you're going to get me on this one, venous Thromboembolism.
Perfect.
Yeah, right. I got close. So I'm just not
You
perfect.
got it. That's it.
But what is a venous thromboembolism?
So it's basically a blood clot in the vein. And so we talked about blood clots in the arteries can go to the head, can
Right.
go to the fingers, can go to the toes, but a blood clot in the vein is oftentimes going to go to your lung. And some folks have heard of a pulmonary embolus.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the dreaded complication. So clots in the veins will oftentimes happen if there's something else going on with that person, that their blood is suddenly thicker. It can be hereditary. It can be due to cancer. It can be something else that's causing an inflammatory process. Or it can be something as everyday in a sense as pregnancy, sitting on a plane for a long period of time. Anything that causes your blood to be kind of stagnant can cause those blood clots. And occasionally you can have an anatomy that increases your risk, and you wouldn't know that until you've had a blood clot. So we see those folks oftentimes to make sure they're on the right medication to prevent that. And if there's anything that we can do surgically to prevent it in the future, we'll do that as well.
Well, I think we've covered some really interesting topics here. I've learned a lot, and just the tip of the iceberg. But I mean, it's answered some of the questions I've had. But is there anything else you'd like to touch on that you would like to share that we haven't touched before we finish up?
I don't think so.
Well, one of the questions that we have a lot of times, I mean, being patients or clients of the healthcare system, is you have a specialty. And for a person who may have a family history or may have some concerns about some of the symptoms that we've heard, at what point do they need to reach out to you? What's the process typically that you would have?
So most of our patients are referred to us through the primary care provider, and that's just because they've done some of the screening for the aneurysms or the peripheral vascular disease. But folks can also contact us directly and ask for an appointment, and if it's appropriate, we'll get you in and see you as soon as we can.
So you don't have to have a referral from a PCP or another doctor?
It depends a little bit on the insurance.
Well, yeah.
Probably the safest bet is to call your PCP, but they're usually pretty good about forwarding you on to us.
Not sending you to see them unless there's some legitimate concern about it.
Exactly.
Now, we didn't mention this. You're actually joining the practice of Dr. Larimer Warren, who's been here for years as one of our vascular surgeons, and I don't know if he's thinking about retirement. I think he's too young for it, but
I hope not.
Yeah, but you're joining his practice, and we'll be working here at Vanderbilt Wilson County.
Yes, sir. So coming out here to try and expand the practice and really allow folks to get their care a little bit closer to home.
All right. Well, Dr. Guth, thank you so much for your time this morning. And Tracy Pope, thank you for setting up. Hopefully this has answered a lot of questions that people have had that are in our community or may have a family history.
Yes, it's been a wonderful program. We're so excited to have Dr. Christy Guth joining the Vanderbilt Surgery Lebanon practice with Dr. Warren. Like you said, he's been a staple in our community for years and years, and we're just excited that he has a partner now in his practice, and they are located at the 1616 West Main building, the blue glass building that's very well known in Lebanon that we are filling up quickly. It's the Vanderbilt Health Building, so you can see Dr. Guth or Dr. Warren in that location, and you can go to our website, VanderbiltWilsonCountyHospital.com, and see Dr. Guth's information, how to make an appointment, as well as other Vanderbilt clinics are located on our website as well. So for additional information, our website's always a great tool.
Well, the hospital's a great partner in our community, and thank you for your sponsorship. And Dr. Guth, welcome to our community, and hope you have many satisfying years here with us.
Thank you so much.
Right. With that, it's a little bit past half point of the hour. We're going to have a brief traffic report.
Thanks, Judge. And it's now 7:30. Let's see what's happening on the roadways.
Good morning. Cleanup continues as everybody stares at this crash here on 24 westbound and OHB here in the Hickory Hollow area. It was still slow a few minutes ago on 24 east trying to get past Whites Creek Pike there in the Jolton area from that earlier crash. Heavy traffic now right on schedule here in Mount Juliet, especially on the Linda Parkway trying to get towards the interstate. Oktoberfest at Oberg-Gatlinburg is September 24th through October 31st. Food, fun, lots of music. Check it out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hey, TP.
Yeah, JB?
You ready?
For Friday Night Lights, you better believe it. Join us on the Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show every Friday night after the Lebanon High football game. We'll have all the scores for you and even post-game interviews with all of your Wilson County coaches.
Thank you to our sponsors, Designers Carpet, Fakes and Hooker, Lebanon Appliance, Palometto's Insurance, Sammy B's Restaurant, and Kenny Salas and the hometown team with Keller Williams Realty.
It's the Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show with John Boyce and Trenton Perry, right here on WANT 98.9 FM.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
As the Titans try to win a second consecutive AFC South Division title. Every snap.
Gives Henry around right end to the 5, to the end zone.
Every first down. Every touchdown.
Touchdown Titans!
It's all heard here.
Brought to you by Fakes and Hooker, Bates Ford, Steve Mull Plumbing, The Jewelers, and the City of Lebanon Gas and Tennessee 811. Call before you dig.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
Showers and storms will be moving in today ahead of a cold front. Highs today will top out in the low 80s. By Wednesday, a few scattered showers are possible. Otherwise, skies will be a mix of sun and clouds. It will be much cooler on Wednesday. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. Let's look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist T.J. Scott.
All right. Welcome back to Coleman and Company. This is Barry Tatum sitting in for Coleman, who's on special assignment. And we'll have a couple of other guest hosts, I think, this week. But Coleman's doing well and is doing fine. We've had a little issue here at the radio station, and the folks here, Billy Goodman, MJ, Susie, Gary, have all pitched in and kind of improvised. We're not in Studio B, the round table that Coleman's in, but we're looking through the window at Studio B in this improvised radio setup. But one thing that doesn't change on Tuesday morning, second half of Coleman and Company, is the sponsor, and that's Hearthside Senior Living, Retirement and Assisted Living Community. And we have the Executive Director of Hearthside Senior Living here, Sean Dozier. Good morning.
Judge, good to see you, and we'll make it work.
Are you a creature of habit?
I sort of am. This is a little odd, isn't it?
It is. You know, once I get in my rut,
yeah,
I like staying there.
Maybe, I do too.
Maybe bump off the side every now and again, but this is a big change, a whole new perspective. But it's working.
It works fine, and I appreciate you having us. You know, Hearthside continues to serve the folks in our community, and it's been serving a lot of folks since 1994, and I'm glad to be just a small part of it every day. And I tell you what, we continue to serve people in our assisted living, and that's going well. We are continuing to move people in every week. We have a young lady moving in this actually today, and her family's excited about that. So we're continuing to move folks in every week. So if you're interested in one of our rooms, we have a few available left, and you can come by for a tour or call us at 615-443-1994. You know, back in the day, this time last year, we weren't able to give tours, but now we're able to get people in and see what we have to offer. And we have a lot to offer. You know, a lot of folks, when they tour assisted livings, you know, there are different ways to offer services, and our services are simple. We charge one price for all the services, including free cable, free Wi-Fi, housekeeping, laundry, 3 meals a day, snacks, all your medication management, all that is one price. And a lot of people like that. You know, it's simple, it's easy to understand, and it's a good price. And We have a few small rooms left. All of our medium and large rooms are taken. But sometimes people just want a small space. You know, they don't have a lot of furniture. They don't have a lot of needs. And if you're interested in one of those small rooms, we'd be glad to give you a tour.
Well, something I'm sure you've mentioned it before when you've been on here with Coleman over the years. Like you said, the things that y'all are able to offer, the meals, the medication dispensing, the housekeeping, the just taking care of the little things in life that we have. That requires, you said you were one small part of the piece or one small
That's right.
part of the bigger picture, but how much staff do you have there?
Well, we have a team of about 27 folks, and they work tirelessly every day to serve our community. You know, we try to provide great customer service, great communication, and then in the midst of all that, we try to give compassion to our residents, and that's one of our goals. You know, we started out as a ministry. We continue to consider ourselves a ministry to the folks at Hearthside, not only on the independent living side, but of course the assisted living side as well. And so we offer, you know, great customer service. That's one of the things we pride ourselves in. Those 27, 28, just according to what day it is, 28 people, team members, I tell you what, they really take care of the residents. And we have a lot of long-term folks. A lot of folks have been there 15, 20, 25 years. And when folks are around that long, you know, they know the residents so well. And that really makes a difference when it comes to customer service, because they know what they like in their coffee. They know what time they like to go to bed. They know, you know, what time they like to take a shower. They know all those things, and it's not a revolving door. It's not a revolving get to know you all the time. So I'm thrilled that we have those long-term employees.
Well, that's always a good thing when you can look at somebody and they don't have to say a word, and you can tell that maybe they're not feeling well that day, and somebody's there to check on them. So.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That's so true, and I'm proud of our staff. You know, we came through a tough year with COVID, and we continue to challenge those issues, but healthcare workers I think we've all come to appreciate them a little bit more.
Yeah, well, it's I think I may have mentioned the last time you were out here, had a friend of mine whose mother was in a facility, didn't get to touch her, hug her for a year, and I just couldn't imagine that.
It was tough year, but we're wide open, and we're inviting people into the facility now. We take their temperature, wear their mask, and so I just encourage everybody to come check us out. 215 Castle Heights Avenue North, or the website is hearthsideliving.org, or you can just stop by and see us.
And y'all offer a lunch if you have somebody coming in?
Well, we'll give you a lunch to go. You know, we don't want to have big groups in the dining room still, but we'll give you a lunch to go. Curbside pickup, as we like to say. So
curbside pickup.
Yeah, so come by and we'll give you a curbside pickup to go. A lot of people do that on Fridays for Fish Fridays. They love Elaine and Crystal's fish. So come by any Friday and see us.
Well, anyone who's interested or knows someone who has a need for senior living, retirement, or assisted living, give Hearthside Senior Living, give Sean Dozier a call at 615-443-1994. And your tradition is a Hearthside.
That's right. I want to, speaking of our staff, I want to wish Cindy Huffines, our Director of Nursing, a happy birthday. She's been there for many, many years, and again, she knows our residents, and she is one. If you know Cindy, she's absolutely the best. So happy birthday, Cindy. I hope she's listening. She's there today. And Hearthside hello to Cindy Huffines.
So it's not only she gets a Hearthside hello, but a happy birthday.
And a happy birthday, that's right.
Awesome. Hope she has a great birthday.
Thank you very much. Have a great week, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. And with that, it's about, improvising my clock. About 21 minutes before the hour, and by the time the guests get settled in and comfortable here, it'll probably be about 15 before the hour.
Yeah, it probably will.
But
how you doing, Judge?
I'm doing very well, and I tell you, folks that listen to Coleman, like I did yesterday morning, when you hear Mayor Hutto talking about the upcoming county commission meeting that Monday night, it's always on the third Monday of the month, you know that the next morning, second half, is going to be the county attorney, Mayor Mike Jennings of Watertown. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Judge. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
I understand Coleman's out on special assignment.
Special assignment, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good for him.
He's a special assignment guy, and you know, this is, we'll just go ahead and say this on him, you know, he's a inductee into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame, effective this year, so.
And well deserved.
And I couldn't fill up this chair or his shoes or anybody else. Coleman's put in a lot of time.
He has.
Yeah.
And most people don't realize he slides in here about a half minute before 7 and walks in, does his show.
Yeah. But I will tell you, setting up the shows and the programs, you know, you have a regular slot. Mayor Hutto, other people have regular slots, but he also serves the community, and it's the radio station as a whole. If there's an event coming up or a program that people want to talk about, he'll find a place for you. But coordinating all of that, I don't know how he does it.
He does it.
I think Helen helps him.
Probably so. There's always a power behind the throne, you know.
Well, on to more serious
there's
things.
a gator sighting. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Oh, no.
Well, that's last Saturday. A lot of points put on the board up in
Yeah.
Knoxville. You wish you could take some of those to Gainesville this Saturday.
Yeah, I do.
How many would you need?
Probably all 56 of them, but I don't know. You know, they opened as a 16.5-point underdog. That's a little better than I thought it would be, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be 3 touchdowns anyway.
Difference is I'm right here now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
She's out of the cage, you know. She's out there roaming the halls. But of course, people who may not realize it, MJ is a huge Florida Gators fan.
She is that.
And for the last, I don't know how many years, Tennessee's had some struggles with Florida.
We've not held up our end of the bargain. We've gone down there a time or two and won when they didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's another one of those in the cards. But
First game I ever saw in Neyland Stadium, it was against Florida, and I don't remember what year it was, but we lost then. And
we beat them one year 45-0 up there in the rain. It was great.
I was up there one year when it just came a huge downpour.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about that, but I guess you're going. Your streak's intact.
Planning on it. Yeah, planning on it. We're flying out Saturday morning if everything holds up well. And,
Okay.
You know, all this COVID stuff, you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you can get an airline ticket and find out your flight's canceled or whatever.
Well, that's never stopped you before. You've had other problems, weather problems, travel
We
problems.
have, and we've always been able to make it, but sometimes it's been pretty close.
Have you ever missed a kickoff?
Missed one kickoff when we played Miami in Miami.
Yeah.
And the flight down there, Judge, took a little, probably an hour and a half. And we had plenty of time. It took that long to get the car. And they were just dragging around. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to reach across there and shake somebody and say, hey, I need my car.
Yeah. Didn't they know there was a ball game that day?
Yeah, they didn't care. And so I remember we walked in there with about 13 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in Watertown football?
Watertown football is doing well, perhaps not as well as the last couple of years, but they have really, last 3 weeks, come on and played some pretty good football.
Yeah.
They're 3-2.
Yeah.
And go to Upperman this week, and that'll be a tough challenge for them.
That is that. And I don't know that we ever talk about the Titans, but were you surprised about what they did Sunday with Seattle?
I was. I wasn't where I could watch it. Well, I was at a reception where a guy had it on his phone in overtime because when I had left the room, it was they were down 7 points and not looking good.
See, I turned it off for a while, and when I turned the radio on, I was expecting to be a 35-6 or 3 score or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a good ball game.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I hear. I didn't think they'd handle Russell Wilson. You know, he's a good quarterback.
He's what they would call an elite. But had a county commission meeting last night, and
We did.
Long meeting.
Hour and 50 minutes. September is historically the election month. That's when we elect budget and finance and commission chairman and commission chairperson pro tem. So quite a bit of time is, well, I won't say quite a bit, but you had some time spent there last night you normally don't have.
So those terms that you have as committee chairman and so forth, budget positions, they change every year?
Yeah,
Or
you elect every September.
Okay.
So we had one turnover there. The people that were elected last night were Tommy Jones, Wendell Marlowe, Annette Stafford, and Diane Weathers went to the budget committee.
Okay.
And then we had the finance committee, and very, very close race. The fifth candidate, of course, we're going to elect 4. The fifth candidate actually got 15 votes. And then the finance committee is Commissioners John Gentry, Dan Walker, Robert Fields, and Justin Smith, and that too was very close. The fifth candidate got 14 votes. So it takes 13 to win, but you got to have 13 plus everybody else, whatever number, you know. So.
Well, you've been county attorney for how long now?
It was 32 years last Saturday.
32 years last Saturday?
It was.
Well, happy anniversary.
Well, thank you.
You see yourself doing it another 32 years?
No, sir. No, I don't. I'd like to be here in another 32, but I wouldn't wager any of your money on that.
I'm the same way. You and I are in the same boat on that. But during the time that you've been on the county commission, there have been some controversies over time. Tax increases, finance, personalities, dynamics that you have on the county commission. Overall, from what you've seen with this term, pretty good interaction.
Yeah, very good. And one of the things that has changed over the years for the better is there is a much better relationship between schools and the county commission, because Coleman and I have talked before, and perhaps you and I have, about the inherent conflict. Schools have to spend money, but they don't have to raise it. The county commission has to raise it. And that's just an automatic conflict.
That's going to be a pinch point no matter where you go.
It will be. And we're fortunate, though. You've got we've had good directors of schools. We've got a county mayor now who has educational background. He understands. And by and large, the county commission is very supportive of education.
Well, with our new setup here where I can't look into the window and see MJ, she brings me Post-it notes. This one says 7:45. I'm a little late. Traffic, and the mics will be hot, so we can't talk about.
Oh, okay.
Can't talk about anybody while they're doing this.
Okay.
Thanks, Judge. And let's go ahead and see what's happening on the roadways.
Good morning. Still heavy traffic 65 south here at Trinity Lane. Still moving on I-40 coming through Mount Juliet. Also 40's picking up eastbound. All that traffic leaving Hickman County through Dixon County right now. Watch your speed. Oktoberfest at Ober-Gatlinburg, September 24th through October 31st. Log on today, obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. Barry Tatum substituting for Coleman, who's on special assignment, and we're having a visit here with Mike Jennings, who's our county attorney and mayor of Watertown, practicing attorney locally, Wilson County native. And what other titles have you got, Mayor?
Oh, I don't know. There's probably some you don't want to say on the radio.
UT football fan, Vols fan, I guess any sport.
Yes, sir. I'm a sports fan. Whatever's in season, but certainly I love football. I hate to give up the summer, Judge. I love the summertime, but they don't go together. Football and summer, just except in Florida, they can play on New Year's Day down there and you can wear shorts.
They can't tell. They can't tell the difference down there.
They don't even know when the season's changing.
They have to keep it simple down there in Florida. But you were talking about the election of new committee chairman and committee assignments last night that was going on, but there was other business of the county. Was anything that stood out to you as being controversial or maybe had been newsworthy?
Nothing controversial. Let me mention two other appointments. Mayor Hutto was reappointed as commission chairperson, and Commissioner Diane Weathers was appointed as commission chairperson pro tem. What that means is if the mayor is not there, she'll preside, or if the mayor chooses to speak on an issue, if he wants to lobby them, he has to come down to where, and then she would assume the chair while he's doing that. It doesn't happen very often. Well, I really can't remember when it did.
But as far as the 25 voting members of the county commission, the mayor doesn't have a vote.
He does not have a vote unless we had a vacancy last night and we had an absence. But if the absent person had been here and we'd had a 12-12 tie, he would have had to vote.
Okay.
That's the only time.
So that's the only thing he can do is to break a tie.
That's it.
And that would only occur if you had somebody who was not present.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or no, if you have a vacancy.
A vacancy?
Okay. The person is counted whether they're present or not for purposes of that quorum. And Director Luttrell, School Director Luttrell last night, the education report always takes a little longer, and certainly now because there's so much talking about controversy. Not so much, well, I guess it is some political controversy about masks and that type of thing. But one of the things he said last night people might be interested in on the mask mandate, which is in place through our meeting on October 4, and then we'll see what they do from there. But 26% of students have opted out. So it means 74 are still compliant or have to comply. We have 19,649 students, and he was shocked at this, and I was too. We had 55 new students a day after Labor Day.
55 new students in one day.
After they came back from the 10-day break, they came back and had 55 new students.
Wow.
So we're rapidly approaching 20,000 students. He said last night, and I know Jeff. I've known him a lot of years, and he studies and he I won't say agonizes, but he analyzes real well. And he said last night, he said, I can tell you about the number of students, but he said, I'm responsible for 23,500 people. And I'm going to make the decision, and I think it'll keep them safe for the best chance.
And when he's talking about the 23,000, that's including the staff and teachers as well as the students.
Teachers, staff, support staff. He said also last night that we had 33 vacancies in school nutrition in the lunchroom, and parents are stepping in and volunteering their time. I noticed on Facebook this morning, one of the ladies on Channel 5, I think Carrie Sharp, maybe?
Yes.
She was volunteering 2 hours a week at Layville to work in the lunchroom. So there, he said if we didn't do that, we would not be able to feed the children.
And that's for the breakfast and lunch programs that they have at the schools. Cafeteria.
Cafeteria, yeah. That was the word I should have.
Well, see, when you say nutrition, I just kind of tune that out because I'm all about eating unhealthy.
Yeah, nutrition sounds like you got to eat something you don't want. That's right.
I don't see sausage and hog jaw in the same sentence with nutrition.
That's exactly right. Nutrition to us is Waffle House. Yeah.
And a lot of gravy.
There you go.
I shouldn't say that after our doctor was here this morning.
Well, you know, she probably got you on the list for surgery in the future.
I see one in my future, maybe 2 or 3, but
you know, controversy. Most of it the last few months has been around the school system.
Yeah.
Again, for Director Luttrell, he never got a chance to get his feet on the ground. You know, July 1, he had to deal with this issue. Dr. Wright closed out her career, you know, having to deal with COVID and a tornado that took out 2 schools. That's about, you know, I've always heard the Lord won't put more on you than you can handle, but that's a lot to handle.
And that's it's not just the immediate issue about the tornado. There's been this ongoing process about what to do with those properties down there and the insurance claims and protecting the county's interest in the school system's interest.
And at the same time, while we're talking about replacing those schools, we all know we got a new school or 2 coming. Yeah. And it's got to happen. When you're growing 55 students in a week, that tells you something.
Well, hopefully that's a spike and not an average on there but.
Well, 19,649 students, you know, it's just a couple of years ago we were at 17,500.
Well, see, then that's not taking into account the Lebanon Special School District.
That's correct.
They have under 4,000 students, but it's a significant population K through 8 that they have here.
It is.
Any other issues on the agenda last night, or?
Well, we did several resolutions moving money around. Nothing major. A couple of things I should mention them because they're worthy of mention. If I can find my resolutions, we did 2 honorary resolutions last night. And one of those was honoring the FFA program at Wilson Central, and those students. There's a list of names here. I won't go through them, but counting a student from Lebanon High School, I think it was Mr. McDonald said last night from Wilson Central that 2 of the state leadership positions belong to Wilson County.
Really?
And last night, the thing that I noticed, and I bet it was the same thing when you went to school, I don't ever remember a girl being in FFA.
No.
And last night there were 5 girls standing up there.
Really?
That had gotten awards and won judging contests and holding state office. So very noteworthy. Wilson Central has a good, not the first time we've honored people from over there. They do a good job, as do all our schools, but Central seems to be maybe just a step ahead. And then this is one that certainly needs to be mentioned if I can find it. Commissioner Sonia Robinson sponsored a resolution last night honoring, again from Wilson Central, senior cadets Jacob Armistead and Alec Jakowski. And these young men helped to save 3 campers and 2 dogs in Hickman County during the flood.
Really?
And they formed a human chain and rescued 1 guy who was pinned to a telephone pole and had a broken arm, and 2 trapped on top of their car with their 2 dogs.
And these were students from Wilson Central.
Students from Wilson Central, and the Navy awarded them the Navy Junior ROTC's highest award for meritorious achievement.
You know, I think that's something, you know, we overlook a lot of cases. I mean, in court, what we see are kids that have gotten in some sort of trouble, what typically school-age children. But we've got a lot of really bright, industrious, creative kids in our community. And Not just the ones who receive an award, but we've got some really solid kids in our schools.
We do. It's always amazing to me, and I'm sure you pay attention to it too, that every year at graduation time, they talk about the dollars of scholarships being awarded to our seniors. And it's in the millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And you know, you think about the tax money you spent to pay for your schools, but a lot of people getting their money back.
Well, it would, that's great, but I wish we had a way that you could have that kind of student pool. High achievers go off to school, but then they would have a place to come back here.
Yeah.
Whether it's a corporate headquarters,
Yep.
whether it's some engineering facility or high-tech facility, it would be nice to have that in Wilson County where we can utilize those people.
Thinking maybe coming. You know, we're up to almost 150,000 people now, so sooner or later, those type of things are, and with the accessibility to Nashville, I would think it's going to happen.
Well, it's a lot of pluses, and it's grown a lot in the 32 years that you've been the county attorney.
I've seen a lot of things change. I want to say something I say from time to time. You ask me about controversy and stuff.
Yeah.
The one thing I've noticed over the years is that the people, you know, we see people on TV, we see athletes, we see movie stars, whatever, and we think there's something special. You know, when you cut right through it, they're average people that have maybe been good in their field or had a break. County commissioners are great people. They really are. And they may argue like dogs and cats, but you'll see them standing out on the front step when it's over with, and they're friends.
They're neighbors.
They're neighbors, and they're good people. And I've seen them take some heat during tax increases and during COVID, and, you know, get called some names, but they are really good people trying to do the best they can, and those are part-time positions. And so it's been a pleasure for me over the years to serve with them. Can't always say that any particular meeting's been a pleasure. Sometimes they hadn't been, but most of the time, these are good people, and good people have to take these positions. If not, we're in trouble.
You know, that's one of the things I started doing in the last year or two was in lieu of community service work, I'd assign kids to go to some county commission committee meetings or school board meetings or civic club meetings.
I've had one or two at Watertown.
And because what you have there, you touched right on it, you've got folks that they've got families, they've got church obligations, they've got careers, they've got a lot of things going on, as we all do. But they voluntarily put their name out there saying, I want to represent the interests, not just of myself, but of other folks, my neighbors and the folks that live in our section of the county that may have a concern, whether it's about traffic or schools or whatever.
Yep.
But those are the folks that make up what I would call the strength of our country.
Yep.
And the strength of our community. It's the folks that want to give something back.
Yep.
And just to, for young people to be able to say, government is not run by elites. It's it's run by us, the folks
Yep.
out here. And we all have that obligation to vote.
And you find as you get to know people that they all care about the same thing. They care about their families. They care about having a nice, raising their children in a good home. They have their faith. They have their, and they're not any different from anybody else.
Yeah.
But they take some more heat sometimes, and they ask for it, but they don't deserve it.
I kind of liken that where, you may have a destination that you're wanting to get to, like if you want to go to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not everybody's going to follow the same road. Some may fly, some may drive, some may go up the east side, some may go up the west side, but the destination is the common thing. It's the route that you take to get there. A lot of time crosses some problems.
Yep.
But in the last 30 seconds or so that we have here to wrap up, anything else you want to touch on?
No, I guess we'll be back in October, and I don't know that I see a major issue on the horizon, but it'll come along soon enough, I guess. Jail construction is going well. The sheriff told us.
Fast.
And jail construction is going well. I know Director Luttrell said last night that getting ready to bid the Wells Wilson Middle School, that repair. So hopefully we'll get it done.
All right. Well, thank you for coming up and getting us an update about the county commission meeting. Care to make a prediction on Saturday?
They'll play in the swamp. It'll be on TV Saturday night. That tells you something. We start off in the hole because
Saturday night.
I get to see Dr. Duncan, by the way. He's already sent me a Facebook message.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Doc's a big Florida Gator man now.
Tell Doc, I don't know if he'll remember or not. I said,
Oh, he will.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for tuning in to Coleman Company. Hope you have a terrific Tuesday, and tune in tomorrow to see who the guest host will be.